Are we sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Mumonkan, case 19. Everyday life is the path. Joshua asked Nansen, what is the path? Nansen said, everyday life is the path. Joshua asked, can it be studied? Nansen said, if you try to study, you will be far away from it. Joshua asked, if I do not study, how can I know it is the path? Nansen said, the path does not belong to the perception world, neither does it belong to the non-perception world. Cognition is a delusion and non-cognition is senseless. If you want to reach the true path beyond doubt, place yourself in the same freedom as sky. You name it neither good nor not good. At these words, Joshua was enlightened. Mumon's comment. Nansen could melt Joshua's frozen doubts at once when Joshua asked his questions. I doubt, though, if Joshua reached the point that Nansen did. He needed 30 more years of study. Or the Mumonkan, case 19. This is the two translations we've looked at with other koans. Ordinary mind is the way. Visitation Land asked Wellspring South Mountain, what is way? Ordinary mind is way, answered Master Wellspring. Still, it's something I can set out towards, isn't it? To set out is to be distant from. But if I don't set out, how will I arrive at an understanding of way? Way isn't something you can understand, and it isn't something you can not understand. Understanding is delusion, and not understanding is pure forgetfulness. If you truly comprehend this way, that never sets out for somewhere else, if you enter into it absolutely, you realise it's exactly like the vast expanse of this universe. All generative emptiness you can see through into boundless clarity. Now, how can you force that into coherence with the logic of yes this, no that? Hearing these words, Land was suddenly awakened. No Gates comment. Questioned by Visitation Land, Wellspring South Mountain went straight for roof tiles scattering and ice melting away. He dredged everywhere, but the stale water stayed put. Even though Visitation Land's awakening was bountiful, he had to practice 30 more years before coming to full realization. Well, as usual, I've read you both translations because all of these koans are based on an assembly of a few Chinese characters. There's very little grammar in classical Chinese in the sense of being represented in the characters. And as you can hear, two perfectly good translators will make very different sounding translations of the same thing. But this is the Ordinary Mind koan. Ordinary mind is the way, and it's normally translated that way. Ordinary mind is the way. Ordinary, top two characters, mind in the sense that we had heart yesterday, heart mind. This embodied mind, this mind not of analytic rationality, but of embodied heart, emotion, feeling, sense. The whole is way, this word, the way. And of course this koan, the Ordinary Mind koan, is what gives our school its name, the Ordinary Mind Zen School, coined by our founder Joko Ben. what do we mean by ordinary mind in this context? What do we mean by ordinary? It's often been taken in a kind of what I could almost call an affected Zen sense, that the ordinary is something we have to strive for. Well, we're all too complicated, we all think too much, blah, blah, blah. We need just the simple, the straightforward. And so, out there somewhere, up there somewhere, inside somewhere is this ordinariness which we have to strive to attain, except the koan tells us that's pointless. The more you seek for it, the farther off it is. What to do? Let's think about way for a moment. Let's start at the end. Way. Dao, Tao in Chinese. Do in Sino-Japanese. It's the same do. We come up with a lot of ways. Aikido, the way of Aikido. And it's a process. It's not a fixed thing. The way isn't a thing. It's not like the A38 that you can start here and finish there. It's a process. It's always process. And whether we see it in traditional Chinese terms, as we call the Tao, the watercourse way, water naturally finding its way to the lowest point, or whether actually we take the Buddhist image of way, because path, the Buddhist path is the Buddhist way. It's the same action, where actually within Buddhism we often talk about going upstream, the opposite of the watercourse way, descending, against the grain. And the interplay between these two very different ways of thinking of things is interesting in itself. And of course, as we had Kanji-sai demolishing Shariputra's account of the Four Noble Truths, that's the Buddhist path. There is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is a way towards the end of suffering, there is a strategy for doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Except Kanji-sai was saying, well, it's not actually that simple, is it? Because everything is not separate, everything is empty. And in there, maybe we can see within the Mahayana something of a possible blending of these. A path, a process without goal, and yet still there's movement. And I ended up talking a little bit about time. And just that, the mantra of Prajna Paramita, which I'm wanting to connect up with our practice principle of life as it is. And saying in its form that we have it, this Sanskrit form, gate, gone. Process which is already over, and yet still in process, and yet we're still setting out. This kind of co-presence of past, present and future, which maybe we just think of in terms of ongoing. It's a path, it's a process, it's what we do, and in that sense the path, the process is itself. It is literally and simply what we do. And again, the Heart Sutra was wanting to point us towards the, you could say co-presence, but absolute indistinguishability between nirvana, this wonderful image of perfection and completion and nowhere to go and nothing to do, and samsara, the the life of suffering, pain, difficulty as we experience it. And these fit together like a box and its lid, like two arrows meeting in mid-air as we've just chanted in the Sandakai. Okay, let's take a different way in. Are you okay? Come back to Joko Beck's question. Are you okay? Are you okay if... ... Are you okay if you use the use of your limbs? Are you okay if nobody ever says a kind word to you again? Are you okay with that? And as I always say, that sounds like, and even Joko sometimes sounds like that, what she's saying, that this is a place of, iron walls, that nothing, I am so imperturbable, my mind is so one-pointed that nothing can distract me from whatever it is that I think my purpose is. And that in fact she's not saying that, because she's actually saying something the opposite. She's saying being okay doesn't mean I don't shout with joy. It doesn't mean I don't scream in pain. It doesn't mean I don't rail at the world. It means being okay with doing that. And this term of Barry's, that being okay, or seeing the perfection of the world, the perfection of this moment, is independent of content. That whatever is happening, whether I'm feeling good, whether I'm feeling sad, whether I'm feeling bored, whether I'm fuming, there's a sense of this perfection and okayness, which means that, again, in Barry's words, it's not a problem to have problems. And that's the paradox, because obviously we want to fall down into one side. Oh, so you mean it's not really a problem at all? No, it is a problem. Or, yes, it's a problem, but I got to grin and bear it. No, it's not a problem. It's living within that gap. Let's take a different way in, and we'll pull all these together. This business of time. Ordinary has two kanji, two ideograms. The first one does mean commonplace, ordinary, everyday. Latin, you might think vulgar, it's everywhere. Oh. And then the second one, a beautiful paradox. It's the kanji for eternal. Now again, this is partly our Christian tradition, but you find the same strain running through Buddhism. Oh, surely the eternal is the unchanging. It lasts forever. It's perfect and complete. How does that fit with the everyday, the muck, the dirt, the dust, the pain? Surely that's a paradox. Well, no, it's not. Because we always tend to, completely misunderstanding eternal. The eternal is not the everlasting. The eternal is the always present. It's not, it doesn't change. What's always there? What's always there? The presentness of the present. We tend to try and then reify that into this present moment. It's even simpler than that. It's simply the presentness of the present. Can I look for it? Where is the presentness of the present? I can't see it. I'm wandering around going, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? You're wearing them. You didn't notice? You can't understand it. You can't not understand it. That's not the question. That's what we do with the presentness of the present moment. The presentness of the present. It's that which is simultaneously nirvana and samsara. Absolute and relative. And then we say, but that's not what I was hoping for. That's not what I want. This isn't it. The gap between my life as it is and how I imagine I'd like it to be. Gap. Oh no, separation, tragedy. I'm all on my own. I'm so separate. That's samsara. Or gap. Look, relationship, the space of relationship, the space of practice. And this is Joko's real genius in pointing us to this, that this gap is the space of practice. It's not the space of practice in a negative, bad way. It's actually the space of relationship. The relationship between life as it is and all of this. Hopes, fears, aspirations, suffering, joy, the rest of it. This gap is the space of relationship. It is the space of practice. And that's the space we inhabit. And that's ordinary mind. It's the space which allows there to be self and other. Myself as I feel myself as I imagine myself as I fantasize about myself, or self as I catastrophize about myself. And the otherness of, the way I actually am. My relationship with every other person, every other thing. My relationship with the whole of the universe in this moment. And another way you could put the difference is the difference between, as Joko says, self v world. Who do you think's going to win? Yeah, but what about self as world? It's like if I crouch down on the earth, crouch down on the world, feet flat on the ground. I put all my effort into moving the globe of the universe. What's going to happen? Well, the world is going to move, but it's going to move less than that much. What's going to happen? I am going to move. I'm going to move a lot. And it's the resistance of world, always, which allows me to move. It's the resistance of world which allows me to exist. And that's true in physics, and it's true of psychology, and it's true of biology, and it's true of everything else. Because this resistance is relationship. If there's nothing there to push against, there's no relationship. Suffering and not suffering. Life as it is, how I'd like it to be. Not separate. The two mutually suppose each other. It's a fantasy that we can ever eliminate that gap. But do we actually want to? Because that is the space of relationship. That is the space of life, of practice. But we do seem to want to eliminate that gap. We seem to want there to be no resistance. I mean, Joko has this lovely image of the Dharma, and sort of everybody like baby words clustering around her going, teacher, teacher, feed me, feed me, feed me. And I always have the image of the herring gull. The herring gull has a red spot on its beak just there, and the chick goes up and pokes the red spot and fish comes out. It's kind of reflex. And in a sense we want all of life to be that. I just push the button. I mean, I don't even have to push the button these days. I just touch the screen and fish comes out, or whatever it is that I think I want. Eliminating the gap. And of course, so much of our preconception about what we want out of life and our modern life is about eliminating that gap. And maybe, AI is the perfection of that. It's like, AI, tell me what to do. I'm in a new town, where should I go? What should I look at? AI, tell me what to think. AI, tell me what I feel. AI, tell me you feel what you think I want to feel. Let's try and flatten out the gap. But it's that in that gap that is practice, that is life. Life as it is only exists because of that gap. It's our relationship with time. The eternal turns out to be, in a weird way, the living, the actual, the openness, the possibility that is always there in each moment. Not some fixity, not some unchanging thing, not something which lasts forever, but just the openness of this moment and this moment in the reality of the presence of the present. Not as out there, but just as literally just this, my very ordinary mind that I live out as this gap between life as it is and whatever it is that I feel or think. Let's sit for a bit. Can you give us 3 breaths?